welcome to another Teacher Talks session tonight. Tonight we are going to have our 121st session and with another different educator from different part of the world. And tonight we are going to have our guest from Turkey and from Pamukkale University and Faculty of Education and Head of Foreign Language Education Department, Professor Dr. Turan Paker. He is going to be with us tonight. And I'm going to invite him for the session. Then we are going to start our live session with him. I'm sure that it's going to be a very fruitful session with him. And we are going to talk lots of topics with him. And such as his turning points about his education, personal philosophy of teaching, and personal ideas or interesting moment that he faced during his trainings. And also we talk about the methodologies and technology and ELT methodologies and methodologies and students' ideas about methodologies and more topics we are going to discuss with him. I don't want to waste time here, so I want to invite him quickly to the session, then we can jump to the session. When he accepts, we are going to start. Yes, I can see. Turan hocam, can you hear me?
Yes, I see. I
But you need to turn. Now it's okay. Wonderful. It's great to see you. Hello, Turan hocam. Welcome to Teacher Talks, and it's great to see you here. And
it's nice to be here with you as well.
And I would like to say thank you and for accepting my invitation for Teacher Talks. It's really great honor to have you for the 121st session. Thank you very much one more time for accepting.
Okay, it's a great pleasure for me to be with you.
Thank you very much, Turan hocam. And I know that you are very busy and we are all very busy. And if you are ready, and we can start our live session. Ready, hocam?
Off we go.
Wonderful, thank you. And by the way, I just want to remind our followers, if you have any questions for Turan hocam, please write them into the question part. There's a icon on the bottom of the screen. You just write your questions, then I can divert it to him. And otherwise, when you write it into the comment part, sometimes we can miss it while he is talking or while the other comments comes and it goes up, so we miss it. So it's better to write it into the question part. Thank you. Let's start, hocam.
Yeah.
Turan hocam, I know about you, but maybe our followers would like to know about you. So can you please tell about yourself and a bit about your perfect experiences in ELT?
Thank you. Well, I'm from Denizli, Çal. That's a town of Denizli. I had my primary and middle school education in Çal. Then I graduated from Aydın Efeler and Aydın Lisesi because I attended two high schools. Then I took the university exam, of course. Then I registered Konya Selçuk University Faculty of Education, English Language Department.
Wow.
Then after graduating, I applied for a job for the Ministry of Education. Then I worked in Niğde Çamar'da for 2 years as a teacher.
Wonderful.
But always my motto is to be able to work at a university. So that was not enough.
I see.
So one day I saw an ad on the newspaper that Çukurova University is going to have some instructors in English. I applied it, I passed the exam, then I worked in Çukurova University for 17 years.
Wow.
But not as an only instructor. And meanwhile, I had my MA at Bilkent University and my PhD in Çukurova University. And I became an assistant professor there in the ELT department. But meanwhile, about 10 years, I worked in the prep school. So I'm coming from the kitchen as a teacher. Then I became a teacher trainer in the Faculty of Education. And also, after 17 years, I decided to live in Aegean region. So I established a department in Muğla University. And I worked there for 2 years. Then I came to Denizli, and for 20 years, I've been here in Denizli.
Wow, it's wonderful. It's a huge experience.
Yeah,
thank you very much, hocam, for sharing. And Turan Hocam, let's move to another question. What was, my next question is about your own education. What was or were your turning point or points in your own education?
Especially when I was in high school, I was in math major. Then everybody expected me to be either a physical doctor or engineer, at least math teacher. But as a result of university exam, my highest point was in English. Well, I was very interested in English and music as well, and also I wanted to become a musician. But somehow that's the fate of me, maybe. I became an English teacher. So, and when I started to learn English and also wanted to be an English teacher, I loved it. So that was my major turning point in my life, that shifting from math to English.
Wow.
And the second thing is, after attending Bilkent University, as a language teacher and also teacher educator, that was the also turning point for me, because it's a really great program and still goes on. And I suggest my colleagues, especially those who work at the prep schools, they usually they can apply, and they give bursary to the instructors as well for a year. So I suggest them that they should apply for this MA TEFL program.
I see.
But if you want, if they want to be an academician, they can also continue with PhD program at different universities, even in Pamukkale as well. So what was your question?
I said, is in Bilkent? You said the MA program.
Program.
I see. Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you very much for sharing your turning points with us. Would you like to add anything else, Hocam, or I can move another question?
Yeah, you can move on to another question.
Okay. Turan Hocam, and you have just mentioned it, that about your excellent experiences about ELT world, and probably during your experiences you have tried lots of methodologies and strategies or techniques in your lessons. So, and probably you have a kind of a philosophy about this. So what is it? What is your philosophy of teaching?
Well, I learned English by using. So it's not just memorizing. It's not just, repeating somebody. So you have to use your logic. So my slogan in learning is use it or lose it. So in terms of methodology, yes, as a teacher, we were brought up as audiolingual method teacher. So we just try to use drills with our students. We try to teach songs and then lyrics, etc., so that they will just reinforce certain grammatical points. But later on, we learned, especially in 1980s and towards the end of 1980s, especially in 1990s. So the best thing is to improve communicative competence among our students. So in order to improve communicative competence, it's not only the grammatical competence, but strategical competence, sociolinguistic competence, discourse competence. These are very important issues in language learning. So it's a pity that when you look at the textbooks, still a lot of teachers try to teach and follow a textbook, but the one textbook does not cover all the language. It's not a course on itself. So that's why the most important thing is, to help students improve their communicative competence initially with different levels. So in that case, the teacher's methodology should be parallel with second language acquisition process of students as well. So if a teacher is not aware of second language acquisition process, they torture their students, asking them to write in order to correct or repair a grammatical problem, to write 20 times, repeat it 20 times, etc., etc. So that's English by torture. Well, for some students it may work, but it is really torture. So instead of that, we have to know as a teacher that our students go through interlanguage periods, which means, first of all, they will just, repeat and maybe they learn some chunks, but they don't have the consciously or subconsciously, they don't use the language. And first of all, they will be able to hear. So if you cannot hear, For example, in the classroom, a lot of teachers do this. Make a sentence, please. Yes, everybody makes a sentence by using a grammatical pattern. That's nice. But the problem is, since they cannot hear your question, then they just talk, but they cannot hear. So can we have one-way interaction? Impossible. Imagine that we close our ears and we try to speak Turkish or talk about the topic. Is it possible? No.
No.
So that's why initially and starting from the very beginning, we have to improve our listening comprehension. Then students will produce one word, one chunk, and then they will go through telegraphic speech. But it's a pity that young generation don't know what a telegraph is. So how should they understand telegraphic speech?
You are right,
in telegraphic speech, you drop auxiliaries, prepositions, articles. So students will produce by dropping them. And a lot of teachers ask me, when are they going to produce, accurate English? My answer is in three times. So you have to wait.
Nice.
And in the exam, you should be able to tolerate them. So your questions in the exam should not be based on only multiple choice, true, false, or there shouldn't be only one correct answer. It's against the nature of language. Okay?
Yes.
So in language, even when you say, how are you? There are, 100 ways of answering it. There is no one correct answer like fine, thanks, and you.
You're right, exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. It's a really wonderful philosophy that you explain here. Really, thank you very much. And I would like to move to another question, if it's okay for you, Hocam.
Yeah. Yes.
So I know that you are very, experienced about the teaching methodology, English language teaching methodology. I'm not going to ask you how many methodologies are there or kind of questions, because we all know it, but I just wanted to ask you different questions about them. So when you think about the all methodologies, and what are the main goals of ELT methodologies? What are their goals?
Well, if you look at from the first one as the not grammar translate, but direct method up to communicative language teaching, they just want to improve students' language like a native speaker.
I see.
But that's not possible. Okay? So when you even open your mouth in a minute, a native speaker will tell you that you have a foreigner accent. You are a foreigner. That's the same with us. Okay? If somebody speaks Turkish who is not Turkish inborn, we can easily tell that, but still we can communicate through that language. Okay? So it's a fact that our first language influences our second, third, whatever language it is. Okay? So what we do, I teach methodology courses in the ELT department. We introduce all the methods historically because each method is influenced by learning theories. The first one is behaviorism. It affected especially audiolingual methods, and then some part of direct method. And as a reaction came out cognitive learning. Then it affected silent way and somehow total physical response. Then we have humanistic approach, and we have community language learning and communicative language teaching. Then we have another learning philosophy or learning theory, multiple intelligence. So we have different students with different abilities and dominances of intelligence, etc. So as a teacher, we should always try to think that there are a lot of different unique students in our classrooms. Then when you design your lesson plan, you have set objectives. But on the other hand, you have to prepare your materials and activities to address those different students. So that's the most important thing in using different methodologies. So depending on the need of the students, sometimes you can do repetition, sometimes you can focus on pronunciation. But the most important thing is, can students hear and understand you? And I usually use this metaphor. I believe that everybody has got a thinking balloon over their head. So in that balloon, when you listen and read, do you have a picture as a meaning? If the balloon is empty, it is just a noise, what you hear. Or what you read is just, script, but nothing else. So that's why meaningfulness is number one, especially for receptive skills. Then in productive skills, it has to be meaningful to the addressee. Because you say something and the person does not understand you, then it's not meaningful. There's no picture in your addressee's balloon. Okay? So that's why in communication, both balloons should work interchangeably, okay, mutually. So in that respect, when we use different techniques and methods, we should address to our students' needs, level, age group. So that's why we have to differentiate our activities, our materials, etc. And when we use these methods, and I mean, of course, we have to teach through certain activities and materials. So in that case, number one issue is it should be attractive to the students. If it's not attractive, their attention span gets narrower and narrower. But if it is attractive, they say, aha, what is happening? They just stop everything. No, they stop the noise and they just focus on what you do. So, but that's the first thing. Is it enough? No. The second thing is you should keep their interest. If they can't continue with the interest, then that's not enough. So they just look at it and say, yes, then they go on with their own business. So interest is very important. So your material and your activity should be interesting for them so that they can keep on dealing with this activity and material for a while. And the third thing is, it should be meaningful. Imagine that as a teacher, you think that your activity and materials are attractive, interesting, and meaningful for age group, but it's not. Then they just say, teacher, can we change the topic? So you get this kind of complaints. And also, the activity should be practical for their real life. So that's why we start teaching from the for taking the student as a center. So English around the students, that's my metaphor. So they will talk about themselves, their family, their school, their hobbies. So in the center, there will be students. Then it will be just like a pebble thrown into the river, that it will just, the circles will enlarge with different topics. And that's the whole life of a student. I mean, that's the whole life of a person. Imagine that the baby is born, and then the only important thing for the baby, himself and maybe herself, and the mother and father and the people around. Then it goes on by different ages. So language learning is parallel with this baby growth.
Definitely, I understand. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. That's a marvelous explanation about it, and we got the point about the goals of the language teaching methodologies. Thank you. And I would like to ask you a question related about the methodologies. So you have been teaching these methodologies in your classes. So when you think about your lessons about methodology, which methodology or methodologies is or are really difficult for the students to use or understand during your lessons? Of course, these students are going to be a teacher. So what is it? Can you tell us about, according to your experiences?
Well, in fact, for me, there is no difficult method. As a student teacher, if you want to understand the nature of the method, almost each method is based on a learning theory and theory of language, and each method or approach has certain objectives, and usually that is communication. And based on these objectives, they have certain techniques, okay? And they are usually parallel with the language learning theory that they are based on. So that's why they have to learn both from theoretical point and practical sides and drills or techniques, so that I don't think that's going to be very difficult. But there are some methods, for example, suggestopedia. It's difficult to apply in Turkey. You know why? Because they just deal with 6 girls, 6 boys. I mean, 12 students in the classroom. Do we have this luxury in Turkey with this population?
I don't think so.
But still, we can get some implication from suggestopedia. So that's why I tell my students, okay, that may be a dream for you, but still we can get the ideas of suggestopedia in terms of peripheral learning. so that we put posters, pictures, and we just write the names of things around us. So that gives the idea of peripheral learning. And also suggestive is important, especially I use this music when the students write something or when they do pair work, group work activities. So that helps the students relax, and it helps, I believe that it helps them to communicate each other freely. Okay,
Yes.
so we can get some ideas, and of course we are not going to stick with one method because there are a lot, and we are just going to use what is needed, what is necessary, depending on the age, level, and needs of our students.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Turan Hocam. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to ask another question related to the modern ELT methodology. When you think about the technology and what is the role of technology in modern ELT methodologies when you compare them?
Well, I learned English from the books. There was no technology at that time. The only technology was tapes. Even tapes, not cassette, tapes. I'm talking about tapes, the huge one. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were taken to a classroom, I mean, language lab, and we were in pigeonholes and putting our headphones and listening to the tapes hours and hours. But now, our laboratory is our mobile phone, and in this mobile phone, you do not only listen, you can watch. This is more realistic compared to just closing your eyes and listening and imagining what's happening, who is talking. What age is the person, what the person wears. I mean, that's based on your imagination. But now you can watch people talk. That you can see mimics, gestures, and nonverbal elements, because sometimes actions speak louder than words. So that's why we learn not only the language in terms of grammar or vocabulary, but we also learn their strategy in language usage, their mimes, gestures, tone of voice, non-verbal elements, which are very important in effective communication. Okay?
I understand.
And the other thing is, yes, thanks to mobile phone, we can read, we can listen to people read. I mean, it's a wonderful tool for receptive skills. You can watch with subtitle. So I usually suggest my students, especially high school students, you take the service bus to go to school, right? So how long does it take? 20 minutes, half an hour, even some of them 1 hour, if they are, far away from the school. So I say, okay, just choose a film and then watch it with subtitle, but you are going to watch the same episode or same 20-minute episode, I say. First, to hear. Second, with subtitle, to understand and write down new vocabulary or expressions or discourse to you. And third time, challenge yourself. Just, turn off subtitle, watch it again. Can you just, understand by watching without subtitle? And the last one, combine all the episodes and watch the film at home. Take your, popcorns and watch the film for enjoyment. So,
enjoy it.
So what's happening is, I believe in one thing in brain learning. If you just come across one new idea or new item to learn only once, it doesn't leave any trace in your brain, maybe. Sometimes it does. I don't know why. That, brain is choosing. But if you watch the same thing, or if you are busy, if your brain is busy with the same type of information with a certain frequency, you know what's happening? There's a huge trace in your brain. You can easily use it. Just like how to learn how to learn how to use a car. Okay. Imagine that you first time sit down and then try to drive a car. Then you are not conscious. You don't know. You are anxious. But after using it, let's say about 1 month or 2 months, that becomes automatic. So language learning is just like this. So step by step, the more you use it, the better performance you have by the time. So you should be patient as a learner, but keep on practicing, but meaningful practice. So not mechanical, but meaningful practice.
Meaningful practice. And thank you very much.
Something that you will enjoy, use in your real life. It should be, as I said, interesting, meaningful, and practical for you.
Definitely. You're right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. Turan Hocam, there is a question. Can I ask it?
Yeah,
Someone
go
asked
ahead.
the question here.
Yeah.
And teacher Sebo, it says, do you suggest any international English test which is beneficial for teachers? This is the question. Let me put it into screen. You can
Okay.
see it.
No need. Well, international exams are usually at C1 level, B1 level, etc. Well, there are Cambridge exams at lower levels as well. Still, as long as they test for skills, that's useful. But if they just test grammar, vocabulary, and reading, it nurtures only one skill, that is reading. So what happens? Students will read and understand, but they won't be able to communicate. So that's why my slogan is, in language teaching, whatever level it is, teach for skills and test for skills. So if you don't test for skills, students will ask the teacher, will you ask anything in listening? No. Anything in writing? No. Anything in, are you going to arrange any speaking exam? No. Why should I bother to learn? So what are you going to ask? Grammar and vocabulary. Wonderful. I will study, then test it. So what's happening in Turkey is this. They test only one skill. So that's why we should teach 4 skills, even at A2 level, because usually exam starts with A2 level, with almost middle, 4th grade and above, or 4th and A1 level. Then the teacher should teach 4 skills and test 4 skills. And some teachers think that they should test 4 skills in 40 minutes. No, it's not possible. So you can just arrange different testing times. You can test 1 or 2 skills in 40 minutes at A2 level, let's say. So they're just going to write a paragraph, and then maybe they will watch something on the receptive skills, receptive and productive 2 skills. And for speaking, they should arrange separate speaking skills. And you know what happens when you test 4 skills? Students get ready. They rehearse. So they prepare for real life. So we call this positive washback effect of the exams. But
I understand.
if you teach 4 skills but don't test 4 skills, then you create negative washback effect. Why? Because just YDS exam, imagine that you will have a group of students and prepare for YDS exam, but YDS exam tests only 1 skill, reading. Then do you think your students will learn listening, writing, and speaking? They say no. No. Because it's not asked in the exam. So whether it is international exam or national exam, teachers can prepare their own exams. There's nothing wrong with this. So there are, I have some videos in YouTube that they can watch if they like. I have given some examples, what kind of items they can use, both for receptive and productive skills. So we usually test sub-skills, not the whole skill itself.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hocam. There is another question, Turan Hocam. I will ask it. Let me ask you if it's okay. Burak Hocam is asking, like, as a teacher candidate, I would like to hear Turan Hocam's opinions about using different kinds of artificial intelligence systems in our lectures to teach language.
Okay. Well, the first thing is, we do not lecture in language teaching. We lecture only in ELT classes. Because language cannot be learned through lecturing. Now we do it. I mean, a lot of teachers lecture about simple present tense, present perfect tense, etc., etc. They tell a lot of stories. I mean, I don't know any brain who says, now, this person is making a sentence and this is simple present tense, this is simple past tense. We don't have such a brain to monitor. We just look at the meaning. We just focus on the meaning.
Yeah.
Okay? So how are we going to teach the meaning? Through films, through pictures, through actions. So TPR is very useful in that respect. Okay? I use a lot of TPR with lower level students in giving the meaning. I say, for example, I'm drawing a picture and I draw a picture on the board. Now I've cleaned it. I'm going to do this, then I show my intention and then do it. By this kind of activities, you can give the meaning. Then we will reinforce it through stories. Okay? So
yeah.
stories are wonderful elements of language input. And films, short films are wonderful input as well. So students should be bombarded with stories, films as receptive skills, and also they should, imitate like the material that they have come across and then produce. For example, in writing classes, I ask my students, okay, introduce your family member. That's A2 level students. Okay, some students try to do it, and when I just walk around, I see some students say that the student says, teacher, I don't have anything in my mind to write. Then I say, okay, here's the model paragraph. I just show it on the screen. Then say, okay, just, imitate it. Laura is, talking about her mother. Now, just like Laura, you introduce your mother. Her name is Maria, and your mother, what's your mother's name? Okay, Zeynep. Okay, say, my mother's name is Zeynep. So, initially, they will imitate in production. So, some teachers say, no, you are going to use your creativity. No, creativity is the last stage. First, we just try to understand the text. We try to imitate it. And imitation goes until you get competent. Once you are competent, you can be creative. Otherwise, you have no idea. How can you be creative?
You are right. I agree with you, Hocam. You are right. They need to be, they understand the things that they have to do it, and then the creativity comes, as you mentioned. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hocam. Let's move to another question.
Just sorry, I didn't answer artificial intelligence part of the question. We can use artificial intelligence as a teacher in order to create a material or look for different material types, activities. Lesson plan is very useful because you get suggestion from an expert, something. It's something like this. But again, you are not just going to follow it step by step. We have I believe that human judgment is better than any computer judgment. So you know your students, you know their level, you know their interest, you know their culture. So
you're right.
Then when you get the advice, if you just try to use it, you will have a lot of problems. That's what's happening in Turkey. For example, we have some teachers use American or British books, and the teachers, give a lot of, advice there about or how to follow steps in teaching. You try to do it, but it doesn't work. Why? Because they prepare it for their own culture, and it doesn't, suit our own culture. So that's why you have to know how Turkish learners learn. What are their learning habits, reactions, attitudes? If you don't take them into account, just following somebody else, recipe doesn't work.
Yeah, you need to get your old recipe, I think.
Yes,
exactly.
But you can make use of them. There's nothing wrong with it.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer for the question, Turan Hocam. Let's move to another question.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's about, Aydan Hocam says something here. Artificial intelligence is very artificially intelligent. We surely need a human touch. Exactly, Hocam. Yes, the humans are needed. You are right.
I can't agree more.
Thank you very much.
Turan
Hocam, as we know that assessments and evaluations are really important, takes an important place in language teaching, especially not lot in other courses or lessons too. But sometimes we just give some students some tests and we try to evaluate them without any purpose. We don't think it. We just do it to test them. But there should be a purpose. So for you, what is the purpose of assessment or an evaluation in English language teaching?
Well, of course, we don't teach, without any objectives. We have an objectives to teach. Then, especially in schools, we teach achievement. We teach for certain achievement of the objectives. Then we give achievement. There are different purposes of the test. So, a lot of teachers usually analyze proficiency tests, and they try to ask proficiency exam items to their achievement exams, which is wrong. Because they even, challenge students. Let me see whether you can answer these questions. Some of them may, most of them may not. Okay? Because it's not their objective to reach that level. Okay?
I got it.
Can, you can easily, shock your students by bringing reading material which is above their level. Imagine that you have B1 level students and you bring C1 level material, then they won't be able to do anything. So the testing has a certain level and certain purpose. So we test our objectives, and sometimes we have a discussion in exam. Easy question, difficult question. Easy for whom?
I see.
They say they usually say if everybody can answer it, it's an easy question. But if it is your objective, imagine that your objective is at A2 level to introduce a family member or to talk about daily routine, and students can write one paragraph with 100 or between 100 and 150 words, and they achieve it. So it's an easy question for them. But as a teacher and as students, you should be able to say, you achieved these objectives, you attained this.
I got it.
Congratulations. That's not an easy question, because you spent time on it, you did a lot of exercises, you did process writing, and students can now introduce their daily routine with a paragraph. So that shouldn't be considered an easy question. That should be understood that that's the attainment of the objectives.
I understand.
So, but in especially high-stake exams, they usually, ask about thousands of, students take the exam. So in that case, they just expect that there should be a perfect bell curve, that half of the students should fail, half of the students should pass. So that's why there is an easy and difficult questions depending on the statistical procedures. But for achievement exam, we cannot think about it. And sometimes teachers make this mistake. My students, know this basic vocabulary or active vocabulary. Let me ask some, passive vocabulary. If they know this, then their English is better. They have this kind of, inferencing, which is wrong.
I see.
Because that's
I got it.
passive word. So don't expect them to use as an active word. Okay? So that's why it's very important that you test your objectives. Then students feel achievement, and success breeds success. It's very important from the student motivation that they learn, they improve themselves.
Yes, I see.
So that's why
thank you.
It should be, the teacher should be very particular about the level, age, and the objective of the course. Otherwise,
I got it.
What do you test? I mean, you test a lot of things.
Thank you.
And this problem is especially with the advanced proficiency exams. For example, when you take the advanced, let's say, TOEFL exam or YDS exam, they bring a topic to you. For example, I remember that I took that exam. One of the passage was about the Potsdam Agreement of after the Second World War. I'm not an historian. I mean, and the question is, how did these, items affected German society? That was the question. How should I mean, at that moment, I should read the test, and I should have, background information about Second World War, what happened in Germany, and what kind of economical problems they have had, because I need this background information. Otherwise, just reading and understanding is not possible, because understanding is a matter of what kind of constructs you have previously. If you don't have that construct, it is just a script, nothing else for you. And another,
you are right.
In another exam, it was a TOEFL exam, and in that reading material, they were comparing Florida and the other one is Californian crocodile and alligator. Have you ever seen alligator and crocodile in your life?
I don't know.
What's the difference? What are the similarities? I mean, if they ask me as a Turkish person, tortoise and turtle, yes, I have seen them. At least they're in my country. So how should I know to some extent they are familiar or they are different, they are similar, etc. I don't have, what I want to say, you need to have certain background. Otherwise, that reading passage may be really at C1 level, but don't expect that everybody will understand it.
Definitely. They'll face some difficulties about it, so they didn't get
Sometimes
the
I do
point
it with
about
my
it.
female students. I say, okay, this is the hood of the car. We will open it, and as a Turkish person, tell me what you see there. They just talk about engine and nothing else. And I say, aren't you
Nothing else. You're right.
Turkish? They have names, you know.
Yeah, but they didn't hear about it maybe so far at
Yeah,
that time because
yeah,
they don't need it.
yeah.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. Really, that's an excellent explanation and answer for the question. By the way, Aydan Hocam asks something. Why do veteran teachers like you and me go after more innovative ways of teaching when the young teachers stick to the traditional ways? Is
Uh,
this a question?
uh,
I think it's a question. Yes.
okay. Well, the reason is when you're a novice teacher, it's normal that you stick with one method. That's the saver. Okay?
Uh-huh.
You try it. Then later on, when you get experienced, you see that there are other alternatives. But first of all, it is just like, you are in a sea and you have seen a log and then you capture it and then you try to survive. So that's normal.
I understand.
I
Yeah.
remember when I started university, my father came and told me how to how to cook one meal that was dry bean, kuru fasulye. And he said, all the other food will be cooked this way. So I stick with it, and for a couple of months, I used to cook that way. Then later on, I enlarged my cooking menu. Why? Because I wanted to be creative and try the other things. So that's the same. I mean, as novice teacher, you just stick with one or two methods because maybe in ELT classes or in methodology classes they enjoyed it, and also the teachers have background information. They have gone through. They have experienced a lot of teachers in their education. So maybe they have something that they enjoyed in the classroom that they did as a student. Say also they use this kind of things as well. But at the end of the day, yes, it is easy to deal with classical, structure-based methods. You just write a formula and you say this is simple present tense or simple past tense. This is example. Everybody make a sentence and you deal with accuracy, etc. Then it's easy. So that's why. But if you try to deal with different students with different methods, techniques, materials, then it takes time.
Sure.
But also it needs some kind of experience, because some teachers are afraid of losing their control in different methods. For example, I remember I observed a lot of teachers' classrooms. I realized that one teacher was avoiding group work or pair work activity, and I said, why don't you do it? Just after receptive skills, you should do some kind of pair work activity, because the topic was, let's say, what do you do during holiday? Let students ask each other this kind of questions and then listen to each other. And the teacher said, I cannot hear everybody. I have to listen to them one by one. And I said, you don't
I
have
see.
to give the
Exactly.
learning, opportunity to the students. And she was very, very suspicious. And she said, what if they speak Turkish? Well, it's their choice. But encourage them, convince them that that's the only opportunity in the classroom to speak English.
To
So
speak English.
giving
Exactly.
responsibility to the students is very important. Now this is your turn. Say something. Either some Turkish, some English. There will be soft transition between two languages. Okay, so we call this translanguaging nowadays. But at the end of the day, try to say something in English. Try to hear something. So that's the first start. But later on, if you go on giving opportunity, at least 20 minutes or half an hour each week, their brain produces. Please keep in mind that in our brain, receptive and productive centers are different. Some people think that when they listen and then when they read more, they will automatically speak. No, they have to use speaking part and writing part as well. Otherwise, they won't be able to communicate. Then we have this kind of product. Anlıyorum ama konuşamıyorum. Well, you have
Yeah,
never
exactly. That's
used
all.
productive.
Yeah, the all Turkish people, I think the most of them actually, not all, most of them, there's the problem about it. I understand, but I can't talk.
Yeah. So I say you have never used productive part of your brain. It is so clean, untouched. Please use it. And they say,
Use
what
it,
if I
exactly.
make a mistake? Well, that's normal. Just like a baby, you will make a lot of mistakes, but still you will express yourself. This is the enjoyment.
Exactly.
You can express yourself with 10 words, even 5 words.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. Thank you for this great answer and explanations about it. And by the way, with the time flies, you know, and it's really, it's wonderful answers from you. Let's move to, I'm gonna ask you different questions now. So let me think, let me ask you about it. So when you think about, when you think about your training sessions, Hocam, or presentations, etc., what was or were the most interesting situation or situations that you faced?
Especially when the students are surprised during the presentation. I like it. For example, we criticize teachers with structural methods and it doesn't work. Sometimes, especially I give this example. I ask my students, let's speak Turkish, and then you will answer with full answers. As a little teacher says, give full answers in the exam, they say. Even in speaking exam or in written exam. Then I say, okay, when you give full answers, how do you feel? I ask this question. Then let's do it. Now please give full answers in Turkish. Okay? Right, my question is, bu sabah kalktıktan sonra kahvaltı yaptın mı? Evet, cevapla.
Evet.
Olmaz.
Evet.
Kısa cevap yanlış. Tam cevap istiyorum.
Bu sabah kalktıktan sonra kahvaltı yaptım.
Aferin. İşte tam mı olacak? İngilizce öğretmeni böyle diyor. Evet, bir başka soru. Akşamları televizyon izler misin?
Akşamları televizyon izlerim.
Hayır. Evet.
Evet.
Değil mi? Bu yes no sorusu.
Evet.
Evet. Akşamları
Evet,
televizyon izlerim.
İzlerim.
Harika. İşte ben böyle cevaplar istiyorum. Tatile gittiğinde deniz kenarına mı gidersin yoksa yaylaya mı?
Deniz kenarına.
Olmaz, kısa cevap yok.
Tatile gittiğimde deniz kenarına giderim.
Evet, şimdi bunu bir analiz edelim. Nasıl hissediyorsun kendini? Böyle bir konuşma yaptığını düşün.
Yani şöyle düşünüyorum. Mesela ne gerek vardı ki bu kadar uzun cümle yazmaya? Zaten
Evet.
kısaca verdiğim zaman cevap anlaşılıyor.
Evet. Because language is economic and it is just, concise.
Yes.
It's the human mind, it is just dealing with concise answers. But a lot of teachers want students to repeat or to write full sentences. And I say, this is wrong. That creates schizophrenic people.
Okay? I got it. Yes.
So,
I got it.
they have to teach the spoken language when they speak, but in writing, we ask them to write a paragraph. For example, if I have B1 level students, I ask them to write an essay with 250 words, or with even B2 level, 300 or 400 words. They cannot give short answer. I said discuss, compare, contrast, right? Cause and effect. So, depending on the topic, they are going to decide whether they are going to answer with one word, one chunk, or whole essay. So we should give this responsibility to the students, and that reflects the real life. Otherwise, this is nonsense. I mean, answer my question with full answer.
You're right. Thank you. This is a really great example about it. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. Thank you. Let's move to another questions, Turan Hocam. And you know that sometimes, in our lives, we think that, oh, I wish I could have that superpower, or I wish I could have that power because I really need it. So I could have do this, or I could do that, something like this. So when you think about it in your classes, if you could have one superpower to use in your classroom, what would it be and how would it help you?
I have never thought about it because I'm a realistic person. So I should, arrange my activities, arrange my material in such a way that all students should be involved in them, either as a listener or speaker or interactor. The most important thing is to trigger them. Okay. So I don't need any superpower to do this. My experience is enough. Give them responsibility, interact with them, and also the most important thing is have a rapport with your students. And as a teacher, you should ask yourself, do I enjoy this classroom? Is it boring yourself? I mean, if it is boring for you, it's boring for everybody. That's why I don't like lecturing classes a lot. If I lecture on the 5 minutes, I say, now it's your turn. Come on, you say something. You discuss it. So, but I don't believe that having a lecture of 2 hours or 90-minute lecture, it's waste of time. A lot of students will fall asleep. So that's why I usually like this slogan. Tell me, I will forget. Teach me, I will remember. Involve me, I will learn. So student involvement at all levels is very important. That's the superpower of the teacher.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. Really, thank you. Okay, so let's move to another question. Turan Hocam, how do you see yourself in 10 years? Will you still be a teacher, trainer, or are you going to try another jobs?
I don't think I'm going to try another job, but I'm going to retire for sure.
Okay, I see. I hope it's not soon, Hocam. We need you.
Because in 10 years' time, I'll be 70 years old, so the government will kick me off.
I see. Oh, I got it.
Because there's an age limit, you know. When you work, there is an age limit. But if you're a politician, there is no age limit. You can be mayor or you can be president at the age of 90.
I got it. You are right. You are right, Hocam. Thank you. Thank you very much. Turan Hocam,
but I love my job. So wonderful. I can't think of myself doing another job. Maybe I can deal with music because I'm a musician as well. I play the bağlama and I sing Turkey from different parts of not only Turkey, from Balkans to Azerbaijan. So I play different types of Turkey.
Wonderful, wonderful. And maybe one day, can we have a chance to listen to you?
Why not? we can have Turkey program. So we will talk about the stories and sing together.
Okay. I'll arrange something, Hocam. Okay. Thank you very much. And let's come to the last two questions, Hocam. When we finish this interview, and you step outside your house and find a lottery ticket and ends up with winning $10 million, what would you do?
Wow. I have no such a dream, but imagine that. Let's have this. Maybe I would like to see different parts of the world. Okay, I would travel in different parts, and then I'd like to see some natural places, historical places. Maybe write some notes about them for the future generations. Okay, so that's one thing. And maybe if I can find some energetic people, we can build a school for people, especially young learners in need, so that we can train future generations. As Atatürk has done, we can bring them up and then create people who are useful to themselves and to society and to the world. Wonderful. So I always thank him, because if he didn't have schools, I wouldn't be a professor today. I'm indebted to the Turkish Republic, the schools of Turkish Republic, and the teachers the teachers who are responsible and who cared us. Okay, So the teacher
Got
is
it.
not just the teacher who passes knowledge or some skills to the students. Our teachers were not like this. They just wanted us to be an intellectual and to be more be people with moral, and then to be useful for yourself and for the society. So thanks to them, we are here. So maybe with that money, I would just set up school and especially give opportunity to the people, to the disadvantaged students, and we have a lot in Turkey nowadays. It's a pity.
I got it.
Only rich kids can go to private schools, but our schools were like private schools at that time.
I understand, hocam. Thank you. Thank you very
I
much. That's
learned
one.
how
That's
to play
really.
the bağlama. I improved my English and I improved my mathematics thanks to those teachers, because they said, Turan, stay at school after school. I'm going to teach you this topic. It's not clear with you, they said.
Sure.
And they didn't ask me any money. They didn't send me any private teacher, but they taught. So
I got it.
I hope we will have this kind of teachers again for the development of this society.
I hope so. I hope so, hocam. I totally agree with you. Thank you very much. And thanks to that teachers that they gave to you whatever they had at that time.
Yeah.
That's
They
wonderful.
sacrificed their
Marvelous.
lives to us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, Turan hocam, I'm going to ask you the last question of the session. Are you ready for it? It's really difficult.
Okay.
Yes. What is your motto?
Oh, my motto. I always repeat it to my students. Life is a matter of choice. So when you make a choice, life is very, what is the word for this? Magical word. Once you choose something, there are millions of other choices and they disappear automatically.
I got it.
You understand what I mean? So I chose to be an English teacher. I lost all the opportunities to be a doctor, mathematician, musician, other things. So that's
I
the
got
same.
it.
You choose a wife, then all the other girls disappear.
Nice example, hocam.
So,
Great example. Thank you for
you
the
choose
example.
again for the students. They choose a major like medical faculty or engineering faculty, law faculty. Then all the other choices disappear. So that's why before you decide on what to do, of course you can have different opportunities to make choices. You can go back and make another choice. That's your life. So it's very important that you have good choices which will help you lead meaningful and happy life.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Turan hocam. Thank you, especially for the last motto about it and the examples.
Life is a matter of choice.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Turan hocam. That's all my questions. And
thank you
Aydan
for this
hocam.
opportunity.
Yes, I think probably she's watching Aydan hocam, but that's not my sentence. That's Turan's hocam ideas. So it's nothing related with me. Okay. About the last comment that he made it, Aydan hocam is just making the fun about is Nilgün hocam around. You said when you choose your wife and the others go away, and that's why she's asking me about it.
That's the same. That's and reciprocal. When a girl chooses a man, then all the men, opportunity of choosing another man is lost.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Turan hocam. And that's all my questions, hocam. And before ending our live sessions, would you like to say anything else?
I usually would tell my teachers in the country, prospective teachers, that they should love their job, love their students, and teach for skills and test for skills to prepare them for real life, not artificial things. So I always share it with my students. When you spend the students' time to make a sentence, in real life, no one asks them, okay, I meet you and I say, now make a sentence with present perfect tense. We don't have such a dialogue in life. So ask real life questions and help or let the students answer in any way they like, and accept it.
Yes.
And also reinforce them to learn, encourage them to learn. That's my last word.
Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. And before ending it, I would like to say thank you very much, Turan Hocam, for your ideas, for your suggestions, and for your comments, and especially, which is the most important thing, your time. You
You're
spend your time here
welcome.
with us. Thank you very much, Turan Hocam. And we had a really fruitful sessions with the Professor Dr. Turan Paker in Teacher Talk sessions. He was with us, and we really had a great time. And we are going to be here, and the next week on the same day at the same time as you know it, every Monday at 9 p.m. Ekran Turkey time. So until the next time, take care of yourselves and take care of yourselves, Turan Hocam, and of course our followers. And it's really great to see you every week here. Thank you very much. And until the next time, all of you, take care of yourselves and peace, everybody. And bye-bye, Hocam. Good night,
Bye bye. But
everybody.
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
I suggest the listeners today or the followers that you have previous programs with different experts. They should watch them when they have enough time. Okay, from YouTube. Please share your YouTube line web address with people. So I suggest them to listen to different people ideas, and they're wonderful. I watched at least 10 or 15 of them.
Wow, thank you very much.
Within 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, I don't know when we talked last time for the first time. I think it was 10 days ago. Okay,
Yeah, 10,
so
12,
I
10,
suggest them they should watch previous episodes as well. Goodbye.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
for
very
this
much, Hocam.
opportunity.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye bye,
bye.
everybody. Good evening.
Bye bye.